Hi everyone, it's Andrea here from Goldman Schultz Attorneys. As you can see, we're trying something new today, and I hope that this works because I haven't done this before, so please bear with me. In terms of live streaming and recording, I'm using a new app, and I'm hoping it goes well. So today's topic is going to be how to change your matrimonial regime after you have become married. So in South African law, if you become married without having concluded an antenuptial contract, you are automatically married in community of property. What that means is upon the date that you and your spouse marry, your debts and your assets effectively become immediately co-owned, and you enjoy an equal and undivided share in a community of property estate. This can have very serious implications financially for the marrying parties, and can, in the event of the parties falling, or one of them falling into a situation of debt, it can result in creditors attaching assets that effectively vest in both parties' names. It doesn't provide protection from creditors, and there are a host of other complications that come along with it. So then the question is, what can you do to protect yourself in the event of you becoming married and you haven't concluded an antenuptial contract? Now, an antenuptial contract is concluded between the parties and signed with the notary public prior to the formalization of the marriage. So before you actually become married, you have to sign an antenuptial contract if you want to avoid being married in community of property. There are two different types of antenuptial contracts, and that is a subject for another day, which I'm happy to have and give advice on. But what is important is that if you are married in community of property and you wish to alter your matrimonial regime, there are actually very significant steps that need to be taken. The starting point is no. You cannot just sign an agreement after the marriage and hope that you are now not married in community of property. It's not quite so simple. What has to happen is a High Court application. The parties need to bring proceedings before the High Court to give them the right to register what is then called a post-nuptial contract. Please bear in mind that antenuptial means anti, which is not the opposite of, which is the Americanized spelling of A-N-T-I, but anti in the anglicized version, which is A-N-T-E, and which means before. So you would need to register a post-nuptial contract, and you can only do that with the court granting such permission. An application would need to be brought. It's not really something that a layperson is going to be able to do themselves. Ordinarily, an attorney is instructed, the parties sign an affidavit, and that application is then served upon the Registrar of Deeds, which is the same governmental department that is the custodian of immovable properties, and a registrar gives a report as regards the two parties. Also, a copy is then served upon the creditors, because a change in a matrimonial regime can have an effect on creditors. Although any variation to a marriage regime by the conclusion of postnuptial contract still allows the creditors to proceed against the parties jointly as though the postnuptial contract wasn't registered. But on the possibility that a creditor's interests or rights are prejudiced, the creditors must receive copies of the papers. And then finally, a copy of the relief that is sought is published in the Government Gazette, which is the government newspaper, effectively, and then 2 newspapers circulating in the area prior to the application being heard. And if all of the processes and the obligations are met, then and also it helps to have an explanation for why an antenuptial contract was not registered prior to the marriage. And once all of that is submitted to the court, in all likelihood, and if the obligations are properly met and the papers are suited, then an order would be granted allowing the parties to register a postnuptial contract, and timeframes are provided for that. So the important thing, if this and this is expensive, I'm not going to joke. It comes at a cost. So really, the important message to send out today is that before you get married, is to consult with an attorney and to ensure that you have the advice that you need to ensure that the matrimonial regime that you are entering into on the day of the marriage accords with you and your spouse, your future spouse's intentions. So please get that advice. It's not a sign of you not trusting in the marriage or not, or anticipating. Quite often I hear, well, that means we anticipate that we're going to get divorced. No, a marriage regime and the contents of the antenuptial contract have far greater implications than in the event of a divorce. It has application in the event of death, which is, if you don't divorce, one of you will pass away eventually. And secondly, is in the event of debt. And very few marriages are in a position where they are debt-free from the start. So please protect your interests and give your spouse the respect to protect theirs. Contact an attorney, have this conversation so that you both go into this marriage, which is the most important contract you will ever enter, with all of the advice that you need. I hope this has been informative. The YouTube channel is new, so of course we would love you to like and subscribe. It doesn't actually cost anything, which was an astounding piece of information to someone here at the office. The subscribe option is not paid, which came as a big surprise. And of course, if you would like, this is also streaming to Facebook, and if you'd like me to consider any topics and have a bit of a presentation on them, you're welcome to contact me through the Facebook page, or alternatively you can email, and my email address is andrea@gslaw.co.za. Hope you have a lovely afternoon, and I'll chat to you soon. Take care.